What's up everybody, Jared here with CarBuzz.com, and today I'm going to be reviewing the all-new 2019 Audi A6. This is a completely redesigned model from the outgoing A6, and as you can see around me, we've got some snow here, so we're going to be able to test out Audi's famous Quattro all-wheel drive system to see how it works in the snow. I'll give you a hint, it works really well. This is a technology powerhouse for Audi. They have a ton of new technology in this car that I'm going to show you in the cabin, and we're going to go ahead and take it out on the road. But before I do, if you want to see the best deals on the Audi A6, be sure to click down here or check the link in the description below. Let's go ahead and get this thing out on the road to see how it drives. Okay, so now I'm behind the wheel of the 2019 A6, and there's a lot to talk about that's new here for this all-new generation car, including a brand new engine. It's a 3-liter turbocharged V6, whereas the outgoing car used a supercharged V6. And this turbocharged engine has a lot of things going for it. It's a twin-scroll turbo, meaning that it has 2 paths for the turbo, one small and one large, replicates a twin turbo. BMW's been doing this on their engines for a while now, and this turbocharger is also mounted within the V of the engine in between the cylinder banks. That's also going to help get rid of turbo lag. It's what's known as a hot V. So this 3-liter engine is going to give you 335 horsepower. That's more than the outgoing car. 369 foot-pounds of torque. That's going to be the big number there. That's 44 more than the supercharged V6. Going to give you really smooth, really deliberate power and acceleration. And this engine also weighs 30 pounds less than the outgoing engine, which is great. These Audis have always been a little bit heavy in the front, so eliminating 30 pounds is going to do a lot to help the dynamics of this car. The other thing that this car has, this engine is actually shared with the smaller S4 and A4 models, although this car has something that those don't, which is a 48-volt mild hybrid system. So there's a lot of automakers that are actually starting to do these now, and what it is it's just a larger battery than what you would normally get on your car, and what that's going to do is it's going to help with start-stop, it's going to help drive the air conditioning, all the auxiliary functions. So basically, I'm going to come to a stop now at this stop sign, and when I come to a stop, when I hit about 15 miles per hour, the start-stop system is actually going to activate before I come to a complete stop. So a lot of people have problems with these start-stop systems that they come to a stop and they feel the engine cut off, and then when they let go, they feel it fire up. This is... I've driven a lot of cars, but I might go out on a limb and say that this is the smoothest start-stop system I've ever encountered. It works really well, even in stop-and-go traffic, thanks to that 48-volt mild hybrid system. And that 48-volt mild hybrid system is also going to help you with the gas mileage. I've been pretty good so far. When I took this, I had to drive it from Detroit to Chicago. I beat the EPA estimates for fuel economy. I got about 31.1 mpg on the highway, which is pretty darn good. Audi says there's also going to be a 4-cylinder model, as there was in the previous generation. They have yet to introduce that, so for now this V6 is the only engine option available. Now there will also be V8 engines on the S6 and RS6, although those have yet to arrive as well. So, as far as how it drives, what I want to leave you with is the impression of smoothness, buttery smoothness. This Audi is smooth and comfortable almost to a fault. The steering is really light. I don't love the way it feels. It does not offer you a lot of feedback. It's really light, even in the sport settings for this car. It's a variable rack. Audi really likes to do these. So basically, it'll tighten up when you're going around a corner quickly, and it'll loosen up when you're on the highway, and you can adjust it using this drive selector here. I have normal, dynamic modes, things like that. They really don't do too much to change the personality of the car. Changes your throttle response, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into one of its more aggressive modes now. So I have it in dynamic mode. That's going to put the dual clutch transmission into sport mode and give it some acceleration. Acceleration, incredibly smooth. You don't even feel the gear shifts. They're pretty imperceptible. It's pretty interesting that Audi decided to give both the A6 and its A7 siblings 7-speed dual clutch transmissions. Dual clutch are usually sportier, whereas automatics are more luxury, but Audi went with the dual clutch on this one, and I think it's a pretty good choice. Really smooth on this car. It just makes me wish that they had actually included this on the smaller S4. We do actually have launch control as well, so if I come to a stop, and I just keep my foot on the brake, I'm gonna put my foot on the throttle. That's gonna be 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds. That's really quick in this car. And I actually looked it up because I was curious. The old S6, which is the one that had that 5.2 liter V10 engine, V10, mind you, also did 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. So amazingly, this brand new A6 is just as quick as a couple-year-old S6. It's pretty crazy. And our car actually has the sport suspension. It's going to lower the suspension by 20 millimeters, but I'm surprised they even call this sport suspension. I mean, it definitely is good when you go around corners. It rides level and flat, but the ride is still absolutely sublime. Even on 20-inch wheels, even on what Audi calls sport suspension, this thing glides over. We're in an area of the country where there is some really terrible pavement, and this just eliminates it. It just makes it, you know, not even feel like it's there. I love the way that this car rides. So if you're just looking for a car that's really comfortable, you don't really care about how sporty it feels from behind the wheel, this is probably your car. If you want something more aggressive, you might want to shop the other German competitors like BMW and Mercedes, because I think they just have the Audi beat as far as steering and things like that. This Audi has a good engine, it feels really quick, and it rides beautifully, but in terms of dynamics, it's just not all there for me. It's lacking that little bit of crispness in the steering, and I just wish that Audi would have tuned it a little better. Perhaps we'll see that when the S6 arrives. So now that I've driven the A6, we're gonna pull over so that I can show you some of this car's incredible technology, because I think that's where this thing really excels. And I've been playing around with some of the technology. It really makes you feel like Tony Stark in Iron Man talking to one of his suits. That's how good the technology in this car is. I'm gonna go ahead and show you. Let's go ahead and pull over for that. Okay, so now that we've pulled over, let's stop and take a look at the A6's interior, which I'm calling techno-simplistic. It's not especially bright and shiny in here. It's more simplistic. Everything is controlled on this new Audi Touch MMI system. So Audi was one of the first companies to switch to a rotary style controller, sort of like iDrive and Mercedes Command. But now Audi, as well as BMW and Mercedes, are going back to touch screens. Audi more so than those other two. So let's start off with the main screens here. We have the larger of the two infotainment screens here. You can get a smaller one on the base trim. So it works just like a smartphone. You have your sort of apps here for navigation, phone, media. Touchscreen is very responsive, very crisp, very clear. You have your home buttons here for things like map, your audio, and you may notice when I touched the buttons, they don't actually work. You have to push through the buttons. It enables like a little bit of a click on your finger. It's kind of cool. It makes it so that you sort of can't accidentally use different functions. So if I go and click on vehicle, like I'm just kind of tapping it, not enough. You have to really put your finger on it and you feel that little vibration on your hand. Same thing with the air conditioning controls. There are very few physical buttons in here. All of the air conditioning controls are handled here. We have our heated and ventilated seats, my start stop on and off switch, the lane keep assist. I have even my sunshade in the back. All of these controls are handled here. You may think that it would be a little annoying to not have physical controls for the climate. I usually like having physical controls, but everything is really good and really easy to use here. If I just put on that there, turn on air conditioning, I can slide the temperature, I can slide the fan speed, and I can turn the whole thing off pretty easily. And Audi has designed this shifter. You may think it's quite odd looking. It's really big. Basically, you put your hand on it and it kind of covers your whole hand. You have your thumb action here to activate the drive modes. So you go up for reverse, triggering our amazing 360-degree camera. You go down for drive, down again for sport. You can tap over to go into full manual mode, and to put it in park, you just push this little button here. And one of the reasons why Audi made this shifter so big is because they want you to rest your hand on it, and they say that this is the perfect angle for you to then activate the controls on the air conditioning. Pretty interesting there. So we also have a button to engage our cameras if you don't want to put it into reverse. You have the 360 here, you have the backup camera here. You can also pull up this 3D map. Very cool here. You get a 3D rendering of the car that you can kind of scroll around. You can see we're parked next to some garages here. You can see that with the yellow posts. Everything looks really cool in here. You can see the frozen lake behind us. Really fun to play with. I enjoy this feature a lot. Really helps you with parking. You have your driving assistance technologies here. Audi has kept it pretty simple here with maximum, individual, and basic for the settings, so you don't really need to fiddle around with those too much. You do have 1 or 2 physical buttons. Those are controlled via buttons, obviously. You have your start-stop button, and you do have a volume knob, thankfully. And Audi has integrated the skip forward and skip backward buttons into the knob, so you kind of just bump it over to the left or to the right. It clicks to activate that. So really cool how they made that all one button, and you do have your electronic parking brake here. So let's talk about the second component of Touch MMI, which is the virtual cockpit, which I believe was first introduced on the A3. Now it's on a lot of Audi cars, including the R8 supercar, and I love virtual cockpit. This is the best digital display that you can get in all of these luxury cars. Mercedes has one now, BMW just introduced one, and they are still playing second fiddle to this. So as you can see here, I have my RPM gauge and my speed right here, and I have a little map in there which will give me directions. That's not too uncommon, but if I push this little view button on the steering wheel, now the whole thing basically becomes a Google Images map. It is super clear, everything is photorealistic. There aren't any other systems that can do it quite as well with quite as big of a display as this. Getting the smaller information, you don't really need your RPMs and your speed to be that big. You want the map up, there it is. I can have my fuel consumption, I can have my driver assistance technology, I can have whatever radio station I'm listening to, or my phone information. I can control that all here from the steering wheel without even needing to go on here. If I want to, I can pull up the navigation here. It is equally as beautiful. So if I want to have my radio here and my nav here, I can do that. If I want to have my radio here and my nav here, I can do that. Other controls on the steering wheel, we have the voice command button, which this is some of the best voice command you will ever find in a car. So I can just click it. I'm cold.
What temperature should be set?
75 degrees.
I am raising the temperature to 75 degrees Fahrenheit.
So you may have noticed there, I didn't say air conditioning on, I said I'm cold. So this system can actually recognize natural speech. It's really cool. I kind of feel like Iron Man when he's talking to his suit. When I use this system, you can use it to set radio stations, to set the climate control, to set a GPS destination. It really gets your destination all in one gulp. You can just say, I need to go to blah, 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 2nd Street, you know, and it'll get it it really easily. This is some of the best voice command you're ever going to find. And then you do have this little button here. It's just a star. Turns on your heated steering wheel, which, as you can see outside, I have been using quite a bit. So that's all that's interesting up here. There's some real natural wood everywhere. It feels great. All of these metals feel great. The whole interior feels remarkably upscale, but more simplistic, sort of like Volvo. Volvo does the same thing where their designs are beautiful, but minimalistic and focused on technology. So now let's see how that technology continues in the backseat. All right, so now that I'm back here, I'm going to show you there's actually a good amount of stuff back here because we have the $1,800 warm weather package. So that's going to give us quad zone automatic climate control, which means that each passenger back here can control their ideal temperature and fan settings using this little display down here. So I can set the different temperatures. I can turn the fan speed up and down individually. I can turn my heated seat on or the other passenger here. And each of us has a USB port on which to charge our devices and a 12-volt outlet. So this package is also going to give us these sunshades. I have one here on the side. There's also one on the other side. These are manual. We can put those up. We also have one in the back which deploys automatically. The front passengers can control that. So with all three of those up, it creates a more shaded, private cocoon back here. It's really nice. It's really luxurious. You can put it down if you want to open up more sun. But if you live in an area where it's really sunny, you can put all those up. It'll help keep the back seat occupants a little bit cooler. We also have our center console, not too much here on the armrest, just a little bit of storage. We have this flip out thing for our cup holders, and that's all there is back here. And now we're going to go ahead and check out the trunk space. All right, and back here we have a pretty good trunk. It is 13.7 cubic feet of storage. Definitely not the biggest in this segment, but it gets the job done, and you can fold those rear seat backs if you need any more room. So now that I've gone through the interior and the trunk, let's go ahead and price this out and give it a score. Before I leave you, let's go ahead and price out our 2019 Audi A6 and give it a CarBuzz score. So starting price is going to be just under $59,000, although we have some optional extras on our tester. We have the Premium Plus trim level. That's going to get you that bigger screen, heated and ventilated seats, things like that. The Bang & Olufsen stereo, definitely recommend stepping up to that. We have the cold weather package giving us the climate controls in the back with the heated rear seats. Definitely recommend that as well. We have the sport package, which is with these 20-inch wheels and the sport suspension. I found the sport suspension to be incredibly comfortable while still being able to add a little bit of dynamics to the car, so I would recommend that as well. All in, we're a little over $70,000 delivered, which I know is a lot. There are a lot of Japanese and Korean competitors out there that do the same for a lot less, although they don't offer the same level of advanced technology as this Audi, and the drivetrain is pretty good as well. The one thing that I think this car fails at a little bit is it doesn't offer me those sporty dynamics that I really want from a German sports sedan. I'm waiting to see what Audi has in store for us with the sportier S6 and hopefully in the US the RS6 models. I think those will take what is otherwise a really nice and complete package and turn up the sportiness just a little bit. I found the dynamics in this just to be a little bit lacking. I would have liked it to be a little sportier. And with that being said, the 2019 Audi A6 is going to earn a CarBuzz score of great buy, but I want to see that S6 first. And if you've enjoyed this review and you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe to the CarBuzz YouTube channel and download our app on iOS and Android to keep up with all of the latest and greatest in automotive news and to see more reviews just like this one. And you can read the written review of this 2019 A6 on our app and on our website. Hope you've enjoyed the video. See you next time.